Cashless Asia, the risks. Nobody wants to talk about the people nobody talks about. Morning sunrise over Bangkok, Manila, Jakarta, Ho Chi Minh City, Phnom Penh and rural villages. Street vendors setting up, school children walking, a mother opening a small food cart. When politicians talk about a cashless future, they often speak about efficiency. Banks talk about innovation. Technology companies talk about convenience. Financial experts discuss economic growth. But there is another conversation, one that rarely makes the headlines. The conversation about ordinary people, the people who don't own investment portfolios, the people who aren't technology executives, the people who simply work every single day, trying to survive. Imagine a single mother. She wakes before sunrise. She prepares breakfast, gets her children ready for school, works 2 jobs, sometimes 3. Every baht she earns has already been spent before she receives it. School uniforms, electricity, rice, cooking oil, medicine, rent. There is no financial cushion, no savings account filled with comfort, no safety net. She lives from one day's wages to the next. For her, cash is certainty. When she finishes work, she knows exactly what she has, exactly what she can spend, exactly what she has left. Now imagine every payment must go through a smartphone. What happens if the phone is lost? What happens if it's stolen? What happens if the battery dies? What happens if there is no signal? What happens if she doesn't understand the latest banking app update? A small inconvenience for some can become a major obstacle for others. Now think about another family across Asia. Millions of people survive by collecting recyclable materials. Plastic bottles, aluminium cans, cardboard, scrap metal. They walk kilometers every day, often under the hot sun. Everything they collect becomes tomorrow's food. At the end of the day, they are paid in cash, because cash is immediate, simple, universal. What happens if the recycling depot moves entirely to digital payments? Do all workers have bank accounts? Do they all own smartphones? Can everyone afford mobile data? Can everyone navigate digital banking? For many people, the answer is yes, but for others the answer is no. And those differences matter. Then there is the child, perhaps only 10 years old, on the way to school, holding a few coins tightly in one hand. Those coins will buy breakfast from a roadside vendor, a bowl of noodles, a grilled banana, a carton of milk, enough to get through the morning. Now imagine a world where that stall accepts only digital payments. Should every child need a smartphone to buy breakfast? Should every parent have to transfer money electronically for a snack before school? Perhaps that future is manageable for many families, but it also raises questions about inclusion, affordability, and dependence on technology for everyday life. Across Asia, millions of elderly people still count their money by hand. Many have never owned a smartphone. Many rely on cash because it is familiar. They can see it, touch it, count it, budget with it. When cash disappears, we should ask whether everyone is moving forward together or whether some people are being left behind. There is another change taking place, not just in how we pay, but in how we live. Look around any shopping centre, any railway station, any coffee shop. People once looked each other in the eye. Today, many of us look down at a screen, scan the code, wait for approval, check the balance, enter the password, confirm the payment. Technology has undoubtedly made life easier in many ways. But some people worry that every new layer of technology also creates new dependencies, more accounts, more passwords, more apps, more updates, more notifications, more systems we must rely on simply to complete the ordinary tasks of daily life. And behind every digital payment, there is usually a network of businesses making that payment possible. Banks, card networks, payment processors, telecommunications companies, technology providers. These services are not free to operate, and many are funded through transaction fees or other charges. While those fees can support secure and efficient payment systems, they also become part of the cost of doing business. The question for society is not whether companies should earn money. Of course they should. The question is whether people should always have an alternative, a payment method that works without an app, without a password, without a signal, without electricity, without asking permission from technology, because perhaps the greatest strength of cash isn't simply that it is money, it is that it gives people a choice, and perhaps, in a modern society, choice is something worth protecting. Australia's warning. Australia offers a powerful warning. During the 2019 to 2020 Black Summer bushfires, power and communications failed across affected communities. In many areas, electronic payments stopped working and cash became essential. Then, in 2023, the nationwide Optus outage left millions without mobile and internet services. Businesses couldn't process digital payments, and transport, healthcare, and everyday services were disrupted. The lesson was simple. When the network goes down, so can your ability to pay. That's why Australian parliamentary inquiries and community groups continue to argue that cash remains vital, not just for older Australians, rural communities, people with disabilities, and victims of domestic violence seeking financial privacy, but as a safeguard during emergencies. Australia hasn't rejected digital payments. Far from it. Australians are among the world's biggest users of contactless payments, but they are also being reminded of something important. Technology is convenient, cash is resilient. One works brilliantly until it doesn't. Australia teaches us a simple lesson. A cashless society doesn't arrive overnight. It happens quietly. One bank branch closes. One ATM disappears. One business stops accepting cash. Until one day, you discover you no longer have a choice. And perhaps that's the question every nation should ask before embracing a cashless future. Should cash disappear because people freely choose to stop using it, or because accessing it has quietly become harder and harder? Case study 1. Sweden, the country that changed its mind. Host to see the host. For years, Sweden was held up as the blueprint for a cashless future. Banks removed cash services. ATMs disappeared. Even many businesses stopped accepting cash. It seemed like the perfect digital success story. Then came the questions. What happens during a cyber attack? A war? A nationwide power failure? Or when elderly people simply can't use digital payments? Today, Swedish authorities continue to emphasize that cash remains an important part of national resilience and emergency preparedness. The lesson? Even one of the world's most digital societies believes cash still has a place. Case study 2. India. When money changed overnight. On the 8th of November 2016, India withdrew most of its high-value banknotes from circulation. Millions queued outside banks. ATMs ran dry. Small businesses struggled. Daily wage workers found themselves unable to access their earnings in the usual way. The policy had several stated goals, including tackling counterfeit currency and encouraging formal digital payments. But whatever your opinion of the policy, one lesson remains. When access to money changes suddenly, ordinary people feel it first. Case study 3. Canada. Access can be restricted. In 2022, during nationwide protests, Canadian authorities used emergency powers that led to some bank accounts being frozen. Supporters said it was necessary to restore public order. Critics argued it showed how access to digital money can be affected under extraordinary legal powers. Whatever your political view, the event reminded many people of one simple fact. Money held in financial institutions can be subject to legal and regulatory action. Cash in your pocket cannot be frozen remotely. Case study 4. When technology stops. Perhaps the greatest weakness of a cashless society isn't politics, it's technology. Every digital payment depends on electricity, internet, mobile networks, bank servers. Remove just one link, and the system can stop. We've seen banking apps crash, card networks fail, Software outages leave millions unable to pay, not because they had no money, but because they couldn't access it. Technology is reliable, until it isn't. Case study 5. When disaster strikes, imagine a powerful typhoon, the power goes out, phone towers fall silent, the internet disappears, card terminals stop. ATMs go dark. What still works? Cash. From earthquakes in Japan, to bushfires in Australia, to floods across Asia, emergency authorities have repeatedly advised people to keep some physical cash for emergencies. Because when modern infrastructure fails, cash doesn't need a signal.